Former Federal Commissioner for Information and South-South leader, Chief Edwin Clark, has called on Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, to urgently investigate alleged misuse of oath by Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Amawhule, and his colleagues. According to Clark, the probe is necessary due to repeated contradictory statements made under oath by Amawhule and others, wherein they reportedly alternated between declaring themselves members of the People's Democratic Party and other affiliations. In a statement released to journalists in Abuja, the elder statesman criticized recent judgments by Justice James Omotosho and the appeal court concerning the Rivers State House of Assembly. Clark claimed the rulings were obtained by fraud, alleging that Amawhule and other plaintiffs concealed crucial information from the court. He argued that such omissions influenced the court's rulings. As a leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, Clark clarified that while judgments obtained by fraud reflect misrepresentations by plaintiffs, they do not undermine the judge's integrity or competence. He further explained that Amawhule, alongside 26 members, defected from the PDP to the APC on December 11, 2023, thereby violating Section 109, subsection 1G of the 1999 Constitution, which mandates automatic loss of seats for defectors. Clark pointed to subsequent legal actions initiated by Amawhule and his colleagues, claiming that they included conflicting statements under oath regarding their party affiliations. He argued that Justice Omotosho's January 22, 2024 judgment is invalid as it failed to recognize that the plaintiffs had forfeited their seats upon defection. Additionally, Clark raised concerns over Justice Okorowo's involvement in halting actions by the Independent National Electoral Commission to fill the seats vacated by the defectors prior to his promotion to the Court of Appeal. Clark urged the IGP to investigate Amawhule and his associates for possible perjury, underscoring the importance of litigants presenting truthful and complete statements before the courts. He emphasized that judgments based on fraudulent information misleads courts, potentially altering case outcomes unjustly. Finally, Clark condemns the Court of Appeal's response to the Rivers State Governor's appeal against Justice Omotosho's ruling, deeming the remarks against Governor Fubara unwarranted and calling for a transparent review of the case. Let me start with you, Nze. What do you make of this story, this statement, and the position of Clark?
Clark, as an elder statesman, we know, will always seek for the good of his people. And following his stand on the issue of the judgment of the courts as launched by the River State House of Assembly faction being led by Amawhule, you see that to a large extent, Clark is just reiterating what we have been saying here. Because we said that Justice Omotosho actually, when he was delivering judgment on that January 22, he was not seeing Amawhule as someone whose seat was empty, whose seat was vacated. He was seeing Amawhule as someone who was a member of the House. So he gave judgment based on that. And what informed his judgment was the information presented to him under oath by Amawhule and 26 others. So you see to that extent, when some of us were coming to condemn the judgment, some people say, no, you shouldn't, this, that. But you see from the angle that Clark was coming, is still pointing to that. Now, calling on the Inspector General of Police to investigate Amawhule and the offenses he assumed to have been committed. You see, like in the place where he said that they don't belong to APC. At a point, you told Nigerians that you have moved into APC. At a point, you told us you are no longer in APC, you are in PDP. And you are presenting these facts to the court. And the court is believing that since you said you are not a member of APC, you are still in PDP, therefore your seat is not vacated, and things like that. So they base their judgment on the information that Amawhule had given. And now Clark is making us know that Amawhule has sworn oath of truthfulness, but he has not been truthful to to the court, to the judges. And his untruthfulness had informed their stand on the judgment they gave. And that has actually misled both the judiciary, both the people, both even the law enforcement agencies and some of the federal institutions like INEC. Because it is based on this, that maybe based on what Justice Omotosho gave, the judgment he gave, that made Okoro to still, ban INEC from conducting election on those vacated seats and all that. So, to a large extent, I stand with Edwin Clark.
All right.
Yes, and to say the truth, if you are honorable, try as much as possible to be 45% honorable. If people call you honorable, try as
45%.
much. 45%, weak pass.
Oh, okay.
Weak pass.
Right.
Try, because we know that there is no perfect human. Now, if people should ascribe that title honorable to you, try at least 45% be honorable. There are some certain things you will do, just as I was discussing with George here. I said one of the things that is making Nigerians to go deep into corruption is that once anybody escapes poverty, he wouldn't want to test it the second time. So you see that once anybody comes to power and comes to any position that gives him money, he can do anything. He can compromise, he can be biased, he can kill, he can maim just to make sure he retains that position because he wouldn't want to go back to poverty. But once we're able to set a system that guarantees equal opportunity, equal right and opportunity, where anybody can become somebody, where anybody, so long as you do what is right, you can clinch into the height that you expect to. You see that if you go there and you remain faithful, try to prove to your people that you came to serve. Nobody, even if they push you aside, you fall back into something, and not falling into the complete, falling back to the base where you cannot even survive. That somebody, like some of them, I had somebody was telling the other person the other day that you are no longer in government, hunger will not kill you, which means there is hunger around the corner. Just once that person leaves the office. So let Amawhule and his men be investigated by the IG as our elder statesman Edwin Clark.
All right. All right, hold on to that thought. We'll still come back to some of the concerns you've raised. But before we come back to some of the things you talked about, I would love to hear from George. Well, George, what do you make of this story?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me first and foremost say that I completely disagree with the call by Edwin Clark. For the IG to investigate the Amawhule-led assembly members. I don't agree to that. I want to state this on air, that an affidavit can be resworn, an affidavit can be withdrawn, an affidavit can be abandoned. It is not against the rule of the court. So if Edwin Clark is saying this, he's saying this based on the position of bias. This is the same man whose group have been calling for political solution a fortnight ago. He has come out again. What is the problem with the man? He has come out again to ask the IG to investigate. Is Edwin Clark the court? It is only the judiciary that can reverse itself. The High Court has given a judgment. Appeal Court has affirmed it. We are waiting for the Supreme Court to put a nail on it. If for any reason they found out Amawhule, deceived the court into giving such a decision, or making such verdict, it is still the court that can reverse itself. It is not for Edwin Clark to begin to call it, a judgment obtained by fraud. He himself should be investigated. So what am I trying to say here is that affidavits, by the rule of court, can be withdrawn from the court, can be abandoned. It is the rule of the court. So if for any reason Martin and his group have sworn an affidavit and later realize that what they swore was not in line with what they are looking for, whatever, they have the right to withdraw it, which they have done. So for me, I do not want to belabor this matter. The call for investigation of Amawhule is not, welcomed by me. It's not welcomed. They have not deceived the court into giving any fraudulent judgment. The courts cannot be deceived by any single individual. Thank you.
All right. Before I get back to George, I want to ask you some questions. Now, George raised a very salient point when he talked about affidavits being, there is this window to, it can be resworn, it can be withdrawn, and all of that. Now, talking about obtaining judgment by fraud, the Rivers State government had I mean, it was a litigation, you know, and they had the window to respond to that, which they did actually. They responded, they had their own counter affidavit. But along the line, they chose to withdraw it. And the court gave judgment based on what was presented, the facts presented before it. Now, would one say that this call makes any iota of sense, considering, you know, that the state government has waived its right over this matter in the first place?
You see, I said earlier here, and I would like to uphold to that, that if you are called honorable, try to at least present up to 45% honorability or excellence in your behavior and dealings on issues that pertains to your personal life, that of your family, and the people at large. Now, to me, Edwin Clark's suggestion for the investigation of these 27 lawmakers
for the investigation on perjury.
Yeah, it's okay for me. One, my reason is this. You see, when you want to act on issues that will affect the people, affect the state, you should remove your personal sentiment out of it. That is where we are getting it.
And you feel Edwin Clark is not sentimental in his position. In your view.
In my view, I'm not checking his psychological stand.
Oh.
To me, I'm not checking his psychological stand.
Not?
I am checking him based on the truth, on the fact he presents to me. And that fact is that this judgment is fraudulent. The people have committed perjury.
You cannot say judgment is fraudulent.
No, he said, I am quoting him. He said that the judgment is obtained by fraud. Yes, because of the information that was given. You read it now, so it is it's clear. But look at us, let us look at it from this angle, Laurentia. To me, Edwin Clark is exposed. He has been in fact, he has held several offices. And considering his age, he has seen the 99. And I don't see any reason why someone who is yet to see 30 will stand to say that a man who has seen 99 does not know what he's doing. In as much as I am an Igbo man, we respect old age. In as much as I am Igbo man and we respect old age, we tell the truth. And when an old man tells lies, we will put our mouth by the corner and tell him, okay, you know, talk through.
I was coming to that point where I wanted to.
We will come there. But let me clear my point before you ask me your question.
An Igbo adage that says, because you're now trying to give relevance to the statements of Edwin Clark by the reason of age and associating age with wisdom when it comes to politics in this instance. You know, I will speak in Igbo language, the adage in Igbo language with regards to what you said, and also translate it in English. Igbo people will say, and it means that when a king keeps misbehaving, you know, his subjects will wear a veil and tell him the truth. So it means that regardless of your age, regardless of your standing, regardless of your position, there is also that possibility of not being accurate. And there is also that possibility that when you get to that point, people will definitely critique your stand. That's why I asked, when you're saying Edwin Clark has seen 99, he has held different positions, you will not remove the fact that Edwin Clark is a politician. And when it comes to politics, it boils down to interests. One would ask questions. Now, Edwin Clark is accusing the Rivers State House of Assembly of oath misuse, that is swearing affidavit that they had defected from PDP to APC when they have not in actual truth defected because they did not fulfill the party constitutional provision for defection. And he's telling the IG of police to probe them, which brings down two things are on ground. One, the IG of police, is it right to tell the IG of police to probe an issue that is already in court, and everybody is hoping that the Supreme Court judgment will give clarifications on that. And you're saying he is experienced. He has seen 99. He understands politics. He's on the side of the truth. Why not let the Supreme Court give judgment on this city? Why not let the Supreme Court clarify all these issues? Why calling for a probe? That's on one hand. On the other hand, Edwin Clark, to some extent, or would I say interestingly, forgot to mention that the Rivers State government pulled out of the court case. So he cannot, one would ask, how did Amawhule obtain judgment by fraud when there was not a counter affidavit to counter their prayers or to counter the facts or evidences they presented before the court? That is on one hand. There has also been counterclaims or counter accusation by the Rivers State House of Assembly, accusing the governor on one hand of constitutional infractions and accusing him of not obeying court judgments. And to a large extent, in all the accusations being leveled against the governor, not once has Edwin Clark, Chief Edwin Clark, the 99-year-old or 90-something-year-old man that you claim, Edwin Clark, has come out on the side of the truth to say, executive, these are your excesses. The assembly, these are your excesses. Now, Rivers State has come to a point where it is. The same Edwin Clark has set up the PANDEF that he's leading, has set up a committee, a reconciliation committee, to reconcile Fubara and Wike and, bring this Rivers State crisis to an end. Less than a week into that, the same him that is pushing for peace and political resolution is now calling for a probe into the Rivers State House of Assembly. And as at this morning or yesterday, the same PANDEF is now saying all the parties come together, let us reconcile. When you're talking of parties coming together to reconcile, is it not the Rivers State House of Assembly now and the executive? Make it make sense to me, because, one would say, is he confused? Or one would say, what is the interest at the end of the day? Does Edwin Clark want peace, or does he want crisis? So I've laid all this to you because I want you to, as the advocate of the masses, to look into this from the eyes of the truth, and you're a reverend as well, to look into this from the eyes of the truth, so that we can actually move forward. Let the truth be said, so that reconciliation, so that wounds can heal and this crisis will end.
I like it when you pile up points.
So go ahead.
In their thousands for me to address in 1 minute.
You have more than 1 minute.
Yeah, I'm coming, because when you are doling out the points, I just keep wondering. And what I ask myself is, where is this girl going to? What does she want to achieve at the end of the day? She wants me to will she be able to give me time to respond to all these things? The question is, even when I have time, the studio does not have the time. But let me start from because I will choose the ones to respond to. And the other ones, I will throw them into the
ones that you're not comfortable to respond to.
Not the ones I'm not comfortable to. There's some that I know that we used to spend time unnecessarily.
All right, go ahead.
But now, starting with the adage you made, it is like putting a square peg in a round hole.
All right.
So it can never match.
Okay.
Edwin Clark at this point has not become an evil king. At this point, he has not become an evil king. So saying that the people will wear basket or put on mask and talk to him, it has not arrived to that. We have not gotten to that. That is to me. I am not advocating for him as an individual, but I'm advocating for him and those who are following his opinions. That's number one. Then number two, you see, when you are saying that the people obtained affidavit and decided to withdraw the affidavit and all that based on whatever reasons best known to them. And you see how Edwin Clark has called the judgment of Omotosho a judgment of fraud or a fraudulent judgment. The reason is this. I said in this place, why did Omotosho give his judgment was everybody who wants to discuss on that judgment must go back to the antecedents, trace back to the beginning of it. Yes, this man instituted this litigation and the governor raised his defense. But before the hearing, they all went to Abuja for a peace meeting. There was a peace deal and the Mr. President said, please go and withdraw your cases in the courts. And the governor came back as somebody who wants to obey someone who is in a higher authority, because president is executive, governor is executive, but we look at president as super executive. Now, the governor decided to obey, unknown to him that the people he was dealing with are naturally fraudulent in themselves. So he withdrew his own defense from the case. After withdrawing his defense from the case, he also presented the commissioner. He accepted commissioners that willingly resigned according to the instruction of Mr. President. But while he was even presenting to them and ready to carry out the rest of it, he now discovered that the people I'm working with are not really doing the same path with me. That was the point where he said, no, let me watch. At least I've done 1, 2, 3. Let them do one. But they've not. The only thing they did was to withdraw the impeachment notice and all that. And you now see the same judgment, they started following it up. And already you used to say that governor willingly, while I will agree with you that he willingly withdrew was because the president didn't choke his throat. And he just did it like that because he wanted to obey the president. But these other people who were fraudulent in their mind knew that they have caught him in that trap. But what they didn't know is that when you catch this man in his craftiness, God catches you in your craftiness. Few days after, they decamped. Immediately they decamped. Ehie came in and declared their seat vacant. And it is that decamping that is holding everybody tight today. That decamping, they thought they were smart. Yes, Omotosho had given judgment, appeal court has given judgment, and Abdul Malik also gave judgment based on what she felt appeal court affirmed. So you see that all those ones are working there, but this other one is still holding them tight, the issue of the campaign. Now, they secretly went to withdraw their affidavit that they didn't swear what they swore. But unknown to them that the affidavit you are coming to withdraw is already in public domain. You withdraw it, but it will be used against you. So to me, all the points here boils down to this. If you claim you're honorable, try to be honorable. Not when you claim to be honorable, you will be showing a manner and act of dishonorable and all that. It is quite appalling and abusive to our political system. And I cannot look. I'm a priest, and anything I don't see right with me, and I don't see it right with the people, I believe that it is wrong. So what Amawhule and his cohorts are doing, the truth about the whole thing is that they are fighting for the control of over 5 million people in River State. These few. And the governor is saying, now that God is relieving us from the grip of these few who have taken us as captives, we will not allow that. Look at what happened. In the past 8 years, we've seen the way the River State was governed and nobody could spit fame. Now everybody is talking. We saw the governor a few days ago donating 200 million to someone who has bettered a lot of Rivers people to a great extent, more than any other person, a single man. And he's running a project, and governor came and said, I'm giving you 200 million, and people are raising their voices. Who raised voice when 500 million was given to Sokoto? Who raised million when money was given to Benue? What did Benue do for us? But look at Apostle Chibuzo, who had rehabilitated hundreds and thousands of cultists, who has saved this state, who has helped people, and people are talking. The truth is this. Yes. We know that the governor has come to work for the people, and my stand is that he should be allowed to work for the people, at least for these 4 years.
All right, interestingly, you see why you always tell me that I will not give you enough time to talk. Because
you give me a lot of points to deal with.
Hold on, I gave you enough points, and what you did was to Nicodemusly maneuver your way out of all the questions I've asked you. You did that.
Lorenza.
And at the end of the day,
try to be just with me. Try to be just with me. You have not been just with me.
And at the end of the day, you did not address one point that I raised. One point you did not address.
Why should I address the point that I consider irrelevant to me?
Hold on, because, you know, it's a very uncomfortable question to ask, going by your stand, and I respect that. I also respect the fact that you are a reverend and an orator, and you have a way of Nicodemusly leaving facts and, you know, build on sentiments.
I don't understand what you are talking about.
But I respect that as well, and I'm glad I gave you all the time to talk. So you will not say I didn't give you time. Now, George. George, while Nze was speaking, I sensed you wanted to react to some of the things he said. And I would also appreciate it if you could also react to some of the questions that I asked Nze that he conveniently chose not to answer.
I would want you to, you know, come back with the question. But first thing first, let me say that law and morality doesn't mix. Law is about fact. So I'm quite appalled that my colleague here, you know, is trying to emotionally blackmail the Rivers people, you know, by trying to enthrone some of the things that Edwin Clark said. We are talking about law. I said here earlier in my opening statement that an affidavit sworn can be withdrawn. It can be abandoned. So if Martins and his group have found out that this affidavit will no longer work in our favor, there's nothing wrong in them going there to withdraw or abandon that affidavit to resworn another one. There's nothing wrong with that. It is a process of the court. So when you come and try to mention God, Rivers people, governor coming to work, which governor has not worked for the people? Which governor? The same man we are seeing as you know, someone that has everything going for him, that is so sanctimonious, is the same person that is a product of the same system that you're condemning. I don't want to go to that. That is not why we are here. We are talking about Edwin Clark's position that the IG should investigate Amawhule and the other 26 members. For me, like I said earlier, I do not completely agree with that position, and that judgment was not obtained by fraud. My colleague here was talking about the governor obeying the Abuja Accord that they reached. He forgot to mention that out of the 8-point agenda, the man only did about 2. What happens to re-representing the budget to the assembly members, the constituted assembly members led by Martins and Amawhule? He did not do that. What happens to conducting local government elections? He refused to do that. You're only talking about the man going to withdraw his court cases, believing that he was dealing with people who were honorable. That is not true. We are not thinking that he was imagine they had withdrawn all this. At the end of the day, the man decided to turn King Kong. What would have happened? Amawhule and Co would have been at the mercy of the man. Like he said, he has the right to recognize and de-recognize them. He has the right. We are not talking about people appointed. We are talking about elected officials from various constituencies in Rivers State. The governor of Rivers State is saying that he has the right to either recognize or de-recognize. I've not seen such a thing before. So please, rephrase your questions. Let me understand so I can respond to them.
All right. I talked about, I asked him several questions with regards to Edwin Clark's stand, with regards to how I looked at, is he coming from an angle of biasness? Because Nze was painting Edwin Clark to be an elderly man who has seen 99 and someone who has yet to see 30. He's taking a different stance. And I was now asking for a man who has seen 99 and going by his stand in Rivers State politics from the inception. You know, first of all, Edwin Clark attacked Damagun. There was a time he was writing, calling for Damagun's resignation, telling Damagun to sit up or resign. It has...
Laurentia, let me, before you go further, let me respond to that.
Okay.
When our brother here was talking about someone who has not seen 30, was he referring to me or another person? Let me know so that I will know how to respond.
Probably I wouldn't want to answer that, but go ahead. So who are you referring to?
No, let me know if he was referring to me. I haven't not seen 30.
No. Okay,
the person is to Lorenzo. Let Lorenzo answer. But if it is open to the floor, I can now answer. I can respond to it.
Don't worry. You don't need to respond. I know where you are.
It's a rhetorical comment which you can actually
either fix yourself or remove yourself from it. So
that is why I said that my brother here is, you know, trying to emotionally blackmail, you know, we here and the viewers. this has nothing to do with someone that has gray hair. Like you rightly pointed out, Edwin Clark is partisan, coming from the ethnic bias. He sees himself as the leader of Ijaw people, and the governor of Rivers State is an Ijaw man. The man who purportedly appears to be fighting him is not from Ijaw. So he has been craving for Ijaw governorship all this while since 1999. So from the point where he started antagonizing Nyesom Wike and everything that has to do with Wike's interests, it was obvious that it was from that ethnic bias. So Edwin Clark is deeply involved in being biased, siding the governor. So there's nothing wrong. He was even the one of the persons, let me even say it on air, that misled the governor. Edwin Clark was one of the persons, alongside Rufus Ada George, Sarah Igbe, and the others, all Ijaw people, were the ones that misled the governor not to accept the peace accord reached in Abuja, an accord that the governor willingly, without coercion, signed. He was the first person that signed after it was read. After he came back here, these same men were the ones that met him. Why would you agree to that? Political solution is not constitutional solution. It's not constitutional. It was the same person that led through Sarah Igbe, they went to court. They were trying to stop the peace accord, that it was not constitutional. The court had to rule that they do not have locus on the matter. That was how that one died. So Edwin Clark is one of the persons that misled the governor of Rivers State not to have accepted a peace accord that he willingly signed without coercion. And this is the same person you're asking me if he's biased. How else do you want me to say it? And someone is telling me he has seen 99. If Edwin Clark at his age, as someone, as we respect our people of that age, actually wanted peace, as a father, a national figure, a former minister, who has held all the positions of authorities, very important positions of authority, he should have called these, factions. You are all my children. Edwin Clark is old enough to be Nyesom Wike's father. Edwin Clark is old enough to be Governor Sim's grandfather. At the age he is, he should have called these men. Let's see how we can resolve. But he decided to stoke, embers of war using the ethnic, position to do that. And today you're telling me if he's biased. It's obvious that he's biased. He is. If he's not biased, he will not be making such a statement.
Okay.
No. And like I said, let me even add another thing. It's unfortunate that a matter that is before the court, Edwin Clark is trying to preempt the court. It's an unfortunate situation for someone who has seen 99 trying to preempt the court into making a statement. These same people, as I talk to you, have mobilized the civil society group to stage a protest. We have it on good accounts. To, force the hand of the Supreme Court into giving a judgment that will favor them. These are the same people my brother is saying that they are honorable. The same people that have seen 99. Dear Laurentia, I'm not too happy about this.
All right, this 99 issue, you started this seeing 99 and seeing 30. You started it. But George, while this 99 issue is still on, final question to you. In light of this development now, you recall that few days back, PANDEF, led by Edwin Clark, has set up a reconciliation committee to address issues, and also one of the issues they are saddled with the responsibility to address is the Rivers State crisis. And after that development, this accusation is now coming up, and Edwin Clark is writing and urging the IGP to investigate the Assembly, Rivers State House of Assembly, for perjury. And just this morning, it's been on the news, the same PANDEF is now calling for the major actors in Rivers State crisis to please give them a listening ear and allow them to reconcile this issue. One would wonder, is Edwin Clark acting differently from PANDEF? Or is PANDEF right now divided? Because I'm looking at these issues. Is PANDEF divided? or there is a party supporting Edwin Clark and another party that is on the side of
As far as I know, there is no information in the public domain that says that Pandev is divided.
So why is
it's really an unfortunate... I have just told you earlier here that Edwin Clark is a German, is an ethnic bigot. Let me use that word. The whole thing you see he's doing today is because he's coming from that angle that a Jaw ethnic group that is holding sway as the governor of Rivers State today should continue. Anything that will truncate that should not happen. On the other hand, the other members of Pandev, who all of them are not just some, from other tribes that make up the Niger Delta area, are coming out to say this fight, if it continues, will affect, the peaceful governance of the state in Rivers State. So they are coming. Why the man who is being moved by that, bigotry continues? I was quite, surprised to, because like I said, a fortnight ago, the matter was discussed here for peaceful resolution of the matter. How come the same man who is the leader of the Pandev is coming out again to tell the IGP to investigate, the perjury case of Amawhule and the other 26 members? He's trying to, he understands that very soon Supreme Court will rule on the matter. So what he's doing...
You think is to put pressure on...
Yes, on the Supreme Court. That is just what he's doing. There's no other thing.
All right.
Trying to preempt the court into giving, favorable judgment to, the governor of Rivers State. But like I said earlier, emotion does not mix with fact and law. The law is the law. Affidavit can be resworn, affidavit can be withdrawn, affidavit can be abandoned. So if Martins and group have decided to abandon it or withdraw it, it does not, go against the rules of the court.
Okay.